to Tuesday Talks, episode 146. Welcome, welcome. I just realized I need to grab our snack of the day from the kitchen. Um, yeah. So give me a moment. I'm going to go grab that and I'll be right back. Sorry for my squeaky chair. Welcome. All right. Let's give it a little more time, see if we have some more people join us. What's this in my welcome. It seems like I was just here for Tuesday Talks. Those couple of weeks really went by fairly quickly. Um, some of you probably feel like you haven't seen me in a while because I hadn't posted like any videos last week. If you watch the videos I've posted in the last couple of days, I talked about how I was suffering very badly from vertigo all last week, and that really just incapacitated me to the max. And I really couldn't do anything, get anything done. There was no way I was going to be sitting and filming. That just was not going to happen. Not at all. So I didn't get any filming done last week. I missed it, but then the crazy thing is, I didn't miss it because I felt like, I spend a lot of time and effort in what I do for my channel and for social media, and I do it because I enjoy it. But sometimes you want to see like some benefits and things of from what you do, and so I just don't feel like I'm quite there with reaching all of the goals that I want to reach in terms of my social media presence and trying to get monetized and things like that. So sometimes it can get discouraging when you're putting in a lot of time and effort. And imagine, when I was working full time and still pushing out like several videos a week. So it's a lot. It's a whole lot. But yeah, so let me go ahead and just get started. And someone comes and joins us, then that will be great. If not, you can always come back and watch the replay of the live. I do keep all of them up for you so you can come and watch the replay. Hi, Jody. How are you? Thank you for your kind words. I did see them. I just haven't responded to my comments yet, but thank you. Thanks for joining tonight. How are you doing? Yeah, so I'm almost to getting monetized. I'm like almost there. I just need to get my Watch hours where I need them to be, because it used to be you had to get there was only one stage of monetization, but now YouTube has like two different stages, so I could get at the first stage um, of monetization soon. I just need some more watch hours, but otherwise, yeah, going good. Lots of rain today. Yeah, we've had rains. We had rain. Was it yesterday or the day before? And I nearly freaked out because I'm like, I just got over vertigo. I don't need rain because let me tell you how the cycle works, right? We get rain, the rain brings mold. The mold brings on allergy issues, and then the allergies induce the vertigo. So anytime it rains, I already don't like rain. Like I don't like rain. I beat sunshine in my life every day. That's what I like. But I already don't like rain. So when it does rain, I'm just like, ugh. And the first thing I think is, oh, the mold is going to be out of control. And sometimes we get mold like really, really high here, just crazy high. And I don't like it. Um, so I was concerned about like leaving the house yesterday and leaving the house today because I knew it had rained. And we keep getting like saying we're going to be getting all these scattered showers and stuff. Um, I've been getting those messages on my phone like all day today. So usually what happens here is it usually rains at night. See, thunderstorms possible around 7:45. It's almost always at night here, which I find that pretty interesting. We don't get a lot of rain during the day. Oh no, it triggers migraines. Oh no. I think I've only had one migraine in my life because I don't really get headaches. I've never been prone to headaches, thank God. But if they're anything like vertigo, I send prayers. I know someone from my church used to suffer from migraines really, really bad. There's one YouTuber in the planner community. I'm trying to think who it is. She actually gets Botox to help her with her migraines. I forget who it is, but yeah, I they can get pretty severe for people, and if it's anything like that pain you get when you have a bad toothache, you know how you get that a bad toothache and that pain just kind of travels from your mouth and then it hits your ear, then it hits your. If it's anything like that, I can only imagine. So I pray that for nothing but comfort and relief for you in those situations. I know that can be trying, very, very trying. Yep. Let's see. So, just our weekly announcements, I guess. Don't forget to go over and visit the online card shop. I do need to make some updates on there with some products, but go over there. We've got handcrafted greeting cards for all occasions. Everything is literally handcrafted by me, nothing mass produced. The link is in the description box. If you're trying to reach the shop from my Instagram, it's always a link in my bio through my link tree. But yes, you can always go there for that. Also, book club. We have been reading I just hit myself in the face. The Number One Lawyer by James Patterson. I was really getting in, really good with this yesterday, and I made myself stop because I didn't want it to end. I want to know, but I didn't want it to end. And this book is so, so good. I think we'll have a discussion today, and then we'll have one more discussion because we've been doing 20 chapters at a time, which sounds like a lot, but the chapters are really small chapters. So I'm looking for suggestions for books for the next time. And what we do is we meet after my live every second and fourth Tuesday. And then before the live is over, I will put the Zoom link in the chat. So if you want to join, even if you haven't read the book, you can always join and just listen in on the discussion. It's such a good book. It's such a good book. Let's see, the mineralologist prescribed when I'm feeling uncoming. Oh, that's good. That's really good that you have something that can kind of prevent it before it actually happens. That's good. Like with me and the vertigo, I used to take a prescription medication, and I'm very, very sensitive to all meds. Like I am the one, probably the one person that is negatively affected by any medication. The only medication that has never given me problems is Aleve liquid gels. That's the only thing that's never given me issues. I remember taking, what was it? Advil. Was it Advil? Advil. I did not like Advil. One Advil has like this coating. The coating on those tablets makes me nauseous, so I don't take Advil. Tylenol, never cared for it. Um, Ibuprofen knocks me out. Believe it or not, ibuprofen knocks me out. Any kind of allergy medicine knocks me out, even if it's a non-drowsy medication. Almost everything makes me nauseous or sleepy. Um, yeah, so when they gave me the prescription meds for the vertigo, it made me feel even worse. Already, vertigo is dizziness and nausea, right? So when most medications make me nauseous, that yeah, that the prescription meds weren't doing it for me. So sometimes I'll take a Dramamine, which the Dramamine doesn't. Yeah, it kind of puts me to sleep too, but it's just best to go to sleep with vertigo. Anyways, it's just the best thing to do is just take a nap. That's the best thing. Yeah, because nothing really. It's one of those things that just has to subside on its own. Yeah, but yeah. If you're interested, like I said, after this live, we'll be discussing this chapters 60 through 80, and then we'll have one more discussion. What's today, the 11th? So on the 25th, which will be our last discussion for this book. But it's so, 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 so good. Oh my God, it's so, so good. Right now, I am looking at every character with a side eye because, oh my gosh. Yeah, crazy. All right, snack of the day. I couldn't actually bring the snack of the day in here because the snack of the day is ice cream and I did not want it to melt. But these are new ice cream bars from Haagen-Dazs. It's a chocolate cookie crumble. It is so good. Let me tell you how good it is. Now, there's only 3 of them in the box, right? I had already eaten 2. And then my godson came to me yesterday and he was like, Mika, can I have one of the ice creams? I thought I was going to cry because I was like, no, I only have 1 left. I started whining like a little kid. No, I only have 1 left. He's like, really? Yes, there's only 3 in the box. No. Like, I'm not giving you my ice cream bar. But these are really good. It says it's Madagascar vanilla, sweet cream ice cream, gooey chocolate fudge sauce. They dip it in milk chocolate and it's coated with cookie crunch pieces. It is so good. Now, I know ice cream is not the healthiest treat, but do I really ever show y'all healthy treats for snack of the day? Not really. But one thing I can say about Haagen-Dazs is probably one of the cleanest ice creams that you could eat. Their ingredients are very, very pure and natural ingredients. So that is one thing I do like about Haagen-Dazs. They're a little more pricey than other brands, but actually all ice cream has gotten pretty expensive. But you can even taste the difference, I feel, in their ice cream. Their ice cream just tastes cleaner. But yeah, try these. There was another new one they had, and I'm trying to remember what it was. I can't remember. I know they have a caramel praline or something like that that's new, and a strawberry New York cheesecake one that's fairly new. Those are in the pints. But yeah, these are good. I want to get some more of these for sure. All right. So that's our announcements for this week. We can definitely get into our discussion today. I've been having a lot of discussion lately about communication. So I was like, you know what? Let's just go ahead and talk about it. So I found some different questions. I've only looked at them briefly. So it's going to be like asking myself these questions just as I'm asking them to you. And so we could kind of discuss what helps us get to effective communication. Um, I think it's a very important thing, but I think it's a challenging thing for some individuals. But let's discuss it. Okay. I want to thank everybody also that tuned in last week. We had a really, really good discussion last week about setting healthy boundaries. So if you missed that discussion, definitely go to um, my lives from last week and check that discussion out. It was really, really good. All right, so let's start with our first question today. How do you define communication without using a dictionary? For me, I would define that as verbal and or nonverbal interaction between two or more individuals with a common goal of understanding. That's how I would define it. Now, does everybody look at communication as having an understanding as the goal? Not everybody. But for me, I think the goal should be an understanding. That's just my definition. I don't know how you guys would define that without using a dictionary. But yes, I do feel that communication can be both verbal and nonverbal. Um, you can communicate with yourself. You can have a discussion with yourself, but I would say that it's between two or more individuals. I think the more individuals involved, the more complicated things can get, but that's how I would go with defining that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's how I would define it. Let's see. Anybody else would like to give their definition on that? I'm sure communication looks different to each person individually, and each person would probably define it differently. There may be some people that have a similar definition, but I would venture to say that most people would have varying definitions there. All right, so the next question that was in that list of discussion questions, the next question is, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being low and 10 being high, how do you rate the importance of communication? Initially, when I just read this question, my mind went to, okay, maybe that could vary based on the situation. But I'm going to say that it's a 10. I think it's just important regardless of the situation, especially if you want healthy communication. Um, yeah, I'm going to say that it's a 10, regardless of the situation. Because if we keep it as a high rate of importance, and if we all look at it as being highly important, regardless of situation, and I think that is one step towards helping us all have healthy communication. If we feel that it's important. If we don't feel that it's important, are we going to try to make sure that it's healthy? Are we going to try to make sure that we communicate effectively If we don't find it to be important, no, we're not. So if we just kind of have an I don't care attitude about it, it's not going to be important to us, and we're not going to put our best foot forward at communicating with others. So I'm just going to go with a 10, even though my initial thought was, it depends. It really doesn't. I think it needs to be very high on our list because communication is one of the biggest ways that we interact with each other. That's probably the main way that most people interact with each other. So it would need to be at some very high level of importance because it's something that most of us do on the daily is communicate with someone else. Some people are more um, loners and they stay to themselves and they don't have as much communication. Some people prefer it that way, but I think for us to be healthy human beings, we need to have healthy communication with others. We have to have some kind of social aspect. Although some people will be like, I don't need to talk to nobody. I think the pandemic kind of showed us how important it is to have some social contact with people, communication with people. So I'm going to give it a 10 at the level of importance. That's what I'm going to do. But I don't know where most people would rate it. I would hope that most people would rate it high. That's what I would hope. I would hate to see that some people think the importance of communication is like at a 1 or a 2. I would hate to think anybody feels that way because how are they communicating with folks if they see it as a low level of importance? So just something to think about. Me, it's a 10. It's a 10, regardless of situation, regardless of the person, regardless of the atmosphere. I think it's important. Very, very important. All right, next question. What bugs you when it comes to communication? And do you have a communication pet peeve? I have a lot of pet peeves, period. But let's see. Let me think about this. What bugs you when it comes to communication? What bugs me when people are on the defensive? It bugs me when people don't listen. That's the main thing for me. I am a serious listener. People don't listen. People don't listen. And it infuriates me. It infuriates me that people don't listen. And people will hear, you can be very clear, and they're going to hear exactly what they want to hear, even though you could lay it out to them very plain and direct. They're going to hear what they want to hear. I see it on social media all the time. That's going to be my biggest pet peeve. That's what bugs me when people don't listen. Some people, they're just waiting to respond. They're waiting to react. In their mind, they're just thinking about what they're going to say next, but they're not listening. And I feel that a lot of people hear. You can repeat to me what I just said to you because you heard me, but did you really listen? Listening and hearing, and I say it, they are two different things. Anyone could hear anything. I could be sitting here right now talking to you guys, right? I could be sitting here right now and I could hear a noise. Or I could be listening to the noise. What's the difference? The difference is my focus is here and I hear it, or I'm changing and redirecting my focus and now I'm listening. That is the difference. You're hearing, okay, I got it. But listening takes you actually focusing your attention to something or someone. That's what listening requires, in my opinion. That might even be the definition of it for all I know. But for me, it takes actual focusing of the attention for you to be listening. So that's a big, 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 big pet peeve for me. Another pet peeve for me in communication is when people try to finish your sentences. Just let me talk. I don't need you to finish my sentences. I believe me, I'm a kind of person. I know exactly what it is I want to say most of the time. It's very seldom that I'm struggling with my words. And if I'm struggling with my words, it's because I'm trying to take them, remix them, and make them nice and sweet so that nobody's offended or whatever. So it's very rare that I am struggling with my words, very rare that I need somebody to be completing my sentences. Please don't complete my sentences. Then I have these other little pet peeves when it comes to communicating, and some people might think they're petty or whatever, but we've laughed about that on Tuesday Talks before. And when someone says, you know what I mean, you know what I'm saying, those phrases, like I tend to just block them out. I'm not going to even lie to you. I tend to block it out. Yeah. I have to go take care of my daughter's bedtime. All right. Thanks for joining, Jody. You have a good evening. But yeah, so those phrases like that. Another phrase that really just at the end of the day, oh my goodness, that one is just, yeah, that's another one that just I kind of tune out. Like I'm just being very, very honest. I just kind of tune out when I hear those kinds of phrases used in communication. And I know that's just how some people talk. And some people can't help it. They use those phrases a lot. One thing I've learned by editing my videos, I tend to pick up on things that I do myself that are annoying to me. Because I'm like, if they're annoying to me, I know they're annoying to somebody else. So I'm very observant in those things. And I think that's why I do have those communication pet peeves, because I notice like everything. I tend to notice everything. There was someone I worked with, and they have a tendency to say, you know, a lot. So they'll say a few words and, you know, but you know. The other one is like. Those things I will start to tune it out after a while because it's too much. It's too much. One thing that really kills me is like older people that use like a lot. Because it's usually a younger generation that does that. So when I'm having conversations with older people and they use that a lot, it drives me crazy. But those are just some of my little pet peeves. Those kind of things may not bother other folks. but I do have a little bit of a cringe moment sometimes with those types of things. But my number one pet peeve with communication is when people don't listen. And my family knows. I tell them this all the time. They do not listen. They do not listen. They do not listen. I'm constantly repeating myself to my family. It irritates my soul. They don't listen. I tell them this all the time. They don't listen. And they laugh. And it's funny to them. And they chant, nobody listens to me, because they think it's a joke and they think it's cute. And it's not cute. It's irritating. They don't listen. And they know they don't listen. They don't listen. My younger brother, if they ever say, I hear you, that's not, I need you to listen. I don't need you to just hear me. Or he has the thing, I understand, but, no. So based on my definition I gave about communication, I said it was nonverbal and or verbal interaction between two or more individuals with a goal of understanding. Based on the definition that I gave, for my brother to constantly say, I understand, but drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. Drives me crazy. Yeah. But biggest pet peeve, people don't listen. All right, next question. What have been the biggest lessons you have learned about communication? A big lesson that I've learned, not only about communication, but just things in general. I'm not going to get me from everybody. That is one of the hardest things I have to deal with. Hey, Raz, how are you? Yeah, so that's one of the hardest things I've had to deal with is I'm not going to get me from other people. So the way that I communicate is not going to be the way that other people communicate. It's just not going to happen. I can always hope for the best. I can hope for the best, but it's not guaranteed that the same thought and effort that I put into communication, that doesn't mean that I'm going to get that back from someone else. It just doesn't. You're doing good? Yeah, I'm doing well. I was really, really sick last week with vertigo. Thank goodness I wasn't supposed to go live last week, but I was very, very ill last week with vertigo. Didn't get anything done for anything whatsoever, but I'm feeling a lot better this week. Thank God. My lesson is to remind myself to listen before responding. Yes. That was something that I was talking about too, that sometimes we tend to be thinking about what we're going to say instead of listening to what is being said. And another thing that I like to do, like I said, I'm very observant. I'm going to pick up on your nonverbal cues as well. So that's something else that I pay attention to, especially if I can see you face to face or whatever. I'm going to pay attention to your nonverbal cues as well, because that will tell me a lot of things also. But yeah, everyone's not going to communicate in the same way. That's probably the hardest lesson that I've learned. And I don't know, I'm one of those people, I just think everybody says always, I want people to do right. Let me put it that way. I want people to do right, but I'm a realist and I know that they're not. But I have high expectations, so I expect them to. It's complicated. It's really complicated, unfortunately. Oh, goodness. And listen for what they are not saying. Yes, listen for what they are not saying, because I can almost always tell if someone's lying to me when they're talking to me. And a lot of times I'll just sit there and I'll just take what they say. I'll let them think I'm believing every little word. Because for me, if something doesn't sound right or doesn't make logical sense, to me, there's some deception there. There's some false tale going on there. That's how I feel. I could be wrong, and I have been wrong at times, but that's the first sense that I will gather from that. Yeah. Let's see. That was a hard pill to swallow. Realize people are not going to respond the way you exactly. And another thing I was talking about too, Raz, is how when people are on the defensive, that's a pet peeve, or that's some people's communication style. They're just always on the defensive. You don't always have to be on the defensive. My thing is, I'm not gonna get defensive unless you're telling me you're calling me a liar, or you thinking I'm stupid. Sometimes that just will just make me go off because I'm like, do you think I'm that stupid? But yet other times I will sit there and let you think I'm that stupid, especially if I think you're lying to me. I may not even call you out on it. I may not ever call you out on it, ever. But it's, I'm taking notes. I'm always taking notes. Yes, defensive or assuming bad intentions. Yes. And it's really, really difficult when the communication is not verbal. That's a hindrance for sure. Let's see. On a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself as a communicator? I'm going to give myself an 8. I would do myself higher, but I know that sometimes, depending on what is being said and how it's being said, I might either be triggered, especially if it's a disrespectful conversation. I might be triggered, or I might just shut down because I'm like, this is pointless. So, especially if the person is defensive, I will just be like, this is pointless. So I'm gonna give myself an 8 when it comes to that. Would I like to be at a 10? Yes. Do I think anyone's really at a 10? I don't know. There's so many factors that go into how we communicate, I think so. But I'm gonna give myself an 8. I'm gonna give myself an 8 on that one. Yeah. Let's see. I think we're halfway through our questions. Yeah, so we've got a few more here. What do you think you do well when you communicate? Well, I do what my family doesn't, and I listen. Nobody in my family can touch me when it comes to that because they don't listen. I think that is one thing that I do very well. I listen, I take in a lot. So I'm listening. Like I said, I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm listening to what you're not saying. If I can, I'm taking in your nonverbal communication as well. I'm taking notes, and I'm mental notes, and I'm trying to hear you out before I respond, because I want my response to be fully based on what you just said. So I'm really going to try and let you finish your thought before I say something. Yes, that's what I do best, Raz. I have. And I think part of it too is because I've had to deal with not being listened to for so many years, that it has actually made me a better listener. Um yeah, I think that's part of what it is. I try to give out what I want to get back, and I want to be listened to. I don't want to just be heard. I want to be listened to. And so I try to offer that same courtesy to other people. Definitely. So that's one thing I think I do very, very well, is listen. And I would challenge any of my family or friends to say that I don't listen. I challenge them to say that, because mm-mm. If I'm not listening, I'm really already preoccupied to begin with, is probably what's going on. But it's very rare that that even happens. So, very rare. All right, let's see. Next question. What what communication skills are you working on or would like to further develop? I've gotten into this thing over the last few years where I just refuse to go back and forth with people. And I will be ready to just end a conversation quickly. And my godson told me today that I can be dismissive, but if that's what it is, I guess that's what it is. But I'm just not going to go back and forth. Or if I feel that I'm wasting my time talking and I'm still not being listened to, that I'm just being heard, I will just be ready to end the conversation. If things get disrespectful, I'm ready to end the conversation. Um, so I'm trying to work on those things. Trying to work on continuing the conversation, turning it around, and making it where it is still productive, healthy communication, and still be considerate of other people during that conversation. But those are things that I know I've started to do that. And I think part of that is just because as I get older, my patience is just thinner. And I just don't have time for foolishness. And I don't like wasting my time, period. To me, time is something that can never be given back to me. Once I've wasted my time, that's it. I'm never getting it back. Um, and so I like to make good use of my time and be, so if a conversation I feel is a waste of my time, yeah, I probably will get dismissive and want to shut it down. And I know that's not the healthiest way to communicate, um, but I'm working on it. I'm, I'm I'm working on it, and I tend to get angry. Like that's like my number one emotion, and I know that's not healthy either. But if I've gotten angry, it has taken a lot to get me there. Like, or if I start yelling, it has taken me a it's taken a lot to get me there because I've had to say something over and over, um, or something like that. I don't think people like yelling. I know I don't. I don't like yelling. I don't like being angry. I don't like being upset. Those are not things I want to do. But it happens. And so I'm trying to work on not letting things really take me there in a conversation or during communication with someone. Got a lot of work to do there. Got a lot of work to do there, but I'm working. I'm working on it. Let's see. The digital age has brought many new ways to communicate, such as email, Twitter, and Facebook. We also now have what? Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. There's all these other things that I don't use or know about. And they have Twitch and Discord and what's that one? Omegle, which is they said you keep your children off of there because they're literally on there just chatting with strangers. There's all these different platforms and avenues and vehicles for communication today that we did not have once upon a time. Once upon a time, we had only snail mail, right? You wrote a letter, you put it in an envelope, you sealed it, you put a stamp on it, you put it in the mailbox. Boom. Or when we were in school, we wrote notes to our friends. We literally wrote notes to our friends and would pass them to each other in between classes so they could go to their next class and read the note that we had or whatever. Now, there's all these other means of communication, and they've changed things a lot. I think with the advancement of technology and all these different vehicles for communication, it has been some good and it's been some bad. So it has helped people stay in touch with people that are very far away. Just like during the pandemic, we had social media to stay in touch with loved ones and friends. Um, Facebook has really helped, I think, a lot of people stay in touch with classmates and um, things like that. But the drawback to that is I feel like there's become a little bit of an obsession with social media being your avenue for communication. Um, I think it has also bred very much a lack of genuineness amongst people. It has distorted reality, and people have become online bullies. There are literally people that get online and communicate things just to be ugly because they don't have anything better to do. These are the kind of people that really wouldn't know these things in the presence of other people, but they gather this strength and this confidence to be bold, cruel, and nasty behind a computer screen. It has impacted our young people, I think, the most. They're totally obsessed with social media, a lot of them, and it breeds problems in their home life, it breeds problems in their school life, it breeds problems in their relationships and things like that. We've gotten to the point where a show like Catfish is very popular because of how people have communicated with these advancements in technology. I still can't believe people are still being catfished today. Like I could see some years ago when it was new, and but at this point, with all the other advancements, there's no reason for people still being catfish. But it still happens. A lot of people pretend to be somebody else on social media. Some people feel that they're only accepted with these fake personas that they have online. It's crazy. You were just watching Catfish. That's my show. I love Catfish. I'll never forget. Oh goodness, probably about 10 years ago, my students were talking about it in class, and I was like, "What is this show y'all are talking about?" And they started explaining it to me, and I went home and started binging it, and I was just hooked. I think I'm really intrigued by how some people can be so naive. It baffles me at times. It really does. And they still have new episodes. Yes. They still, at this point, you want to be catfish because unless you're literally new to social media, there's no reason for you to be getting catfished anymore. There's just no need for that. But those are some of the negative things that we've gotten because of these new ways that we can communicate. They could be good, they can be very productive and constructive forms of communication. People have helped um, each other find lost loved ones or birth parents, siblings that they didn't know about, jobs, opportunities. There's a lot of good things that can come from these new ways of communication that we have, but then there's a lot of bad that can come from them. And seriously, parents need to be very careful with how their young children are using these different um, ways of communication. There's a lot of predators out there, unfortunately. So sad. And these predators pretend to be young people just like your children. So there's a lot that is bad, but there still are some good things. But everybody's not going to use these things for good. If you thought about it, I mean, if they took all that time and energy that they spend to use it negatively and use it constructively, it would be great. It would be great, but there's always got to be at least one bad apple in the bunch. So it's just something to keep in mind. All right. What are the problems that you see when it comes to digital age and communication? So we've kind of talked about that already. Ask any teacher today, and they will tell you that this digital age has created very many issues within the classroom. The students are obsessed and addicted to social media. They don't have time for whatever is going on in the classroom. They have these phones. Kids as young as elementary age students are walking around with cell phones. They're walking around with cell phones and they're all attached to them. They want to use them during class. The parents are helping them use them during class, and it has become a huge, huge issue in the classroom. There's so much that could be done positively with those forms of technology, but the students more than likely are not going to use them the way that the teacher wants them to use it. And it's very hard for a teacher to monitor the use of technology for all students in a class. It's very difficult. The teacher barely can have eyes on all of them at once as it is, and to watch all of them and what they're doing on an electronic device, it's almost impossible for the teacher to manage that. It's pretty much impossible. So a lot of pros, but a lot of cons at the same time. Just watching different documentaries and things like that and see how predators use those things to get to not only children but adults. It's scary. It's really, really scary. But yeah. Last question. Based on what you have learned about communication, what advice do you offer? Okay, the number one thing I'm going to advise is that we listen. Listen, communicate with a goal of understanding. Don't communicate in a goal of winning. Don't communicate in the goal of telling somebody off. Communicate with a goal of understanding. And that understanding is going to come from all individuals actively listening. That means you're not just hearing. That means you're actually actively focusing on what is being said. That's what listening is. Again, I can't stress it enough. Hearing and listening are two different things. So make sure you are actively focused on the individual and what is being said. I know some people don't like doing eye contact or whatever, but it is a reassuring thing that somebody's really listening to you. But if maintaining eye contact is difficult for you, that's okay, but just still listen. Just still actively focus and listen. Make sure that you hear the other person out. Try not to interrupt. Don't only sit and think about how you're going to respond, because if you're sitting and thinking only about how you're going to respond, you're missing what the other person is saying. So make sure you're listening to what they're saying and then give yourself the chance to respond. If you need a moment to respond, say, let me think about what you just said and let me respond to that. Give yourself a minute or two if that's needed. But definitely just listen. It's so important. People say, "Oh, people want to be heard." I don't want to just be heard. I need you to listen to me. Because as I gave the example before, I'm sitting here right now speaking to you. And I could hear a noise, which I just heard a noise sound like someone went out the front door. But I'm not focused on that noise right now, because otherwise I would be averting my attention from you to whatever that noise is that I hear. So I'm still actively focused here. So that's the difference. I hear that noise, and my focus is here. Now, if I just want to be heard, that's fine. But I personally, I don't want you to just hear me. I need you to listen, and I need you to understand when all the listening is done. That's what I need when it comes to communication. And we kind of talked about this the last time, setting healthy boundaries. And that's something I've been trying to do a lot more of. And part of that is if I feel that I'm not being listened to and I'm just being heard, you heard what I said, but you didn't listen and come to an understanding. Because if you've come to an understanding, then there should be something positive that then happens after that. And if I'm not seeing that positive change or that improvement after we've listened and understood, then I'm going to need to set some boundaries, because you're not listening. You're just hearing me, if that's the case. You pretended to listen, but you really only heard me. So yeah, it's funny how those two things work with each other: effective communication and healthy boundaries. I didn't think about that till just now. So there's a lot of ways that those kind of work hand in hand and parallel to each other. So those are my suggestions. Listen, come to an understanding, hear the other person out. And oh, I must put this in there as well. Be respectful in your communication. Just like we all might define communication differently, unfortunately, some people define respect differently as well. And so what might be respectful to me may not be respectful to you, but that's where it comes to setting those healthy boundaries too. This is what respectful communication looks like for me. So just be respectful, because when a conversation gets disrespectful, then that is more than likely not going to be effective communication. It's going to taint that communication pretty quickly. But yes, that's what I have for you guys today. I will be back on here on the 25th. If you have suggestions for things that you would like to discuss, you can always reach out to me via my email. My email is always in my description box of my videos. I'll try to make sure, because I don't think I put it in the description yet for this video, but you can always click on one of my regular videos. I tend to forget to do it on my lives, but yeah, you can email me, let me know, or you can even suggest during the live something that you want to discuss. Again, after this live, I'll be doing the discussion for the book club. Let me give the link. Let me do it right now in the chat in case you want to join. I forgot to have that up already. But this book is getting so good. Oh my gosh. And again, if you have suggestions for, I think I wrote down something the last time and I don't remember where I wrote it. I think it was Michelle that had suggested a book the last time. Oh, here it is right here. Goodbyes and Good Boundaries. That's right. I do still have it. I'm glad I didn't toss that. But yes. Let me get that link for you guys. Number one, in case you want to join in, it's going to be, so it'll be right after I get off here. It'll just take me a second to start that meeting. I'll probably run to the restroom real quick, or like last time, and then get started on that. Where is my link. Here it is. One second. Okay. So I'm going to put the link here in the chat. There we go. I'm going to put the password probably on my community tab. And yeah, and so we'll go from there. So again, thank you all for joining. If you're catching this on the replay, feel free to put your answers to those questions in the comment section. I'd love to see your thoughts on that, especially your definition of communication. I would love to see everyone's personal definition of communication. So see if you can go ahead and answer that question in the comments for me. But I will see you guys back here on the 25th. And that will be our last book discussion as well. So we're going to discuss chapter 60 through 80 today, and then we'll finish it out on the 25th. But I have enjoyed you guys as usual. Let's see. Beverly Jenkins has me in a romance chokehold. Otherwise, I was doing no problem. You should suggest a book, because I don't think I've read from that author before. So give us a suggestion, and I think it would be all right, guys. I will see you in the next Tuesday Talks. You guys have a wonderful evening, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.